The halftime show goes down, and somebody will, I don't know, maybe like me, go, I don't know if I love that. Oh, you're just a hater. It's like, well, nobody wanted the artist. Now all of a sudden they did the thing, and now all of a sudden if you have the opinion, it's like, yeah, I don't know if I love that. It's like this conversation just goes back and forth every year. Rock fans are going to say it. It's like you're like the Native American rain dancers. You're going to dance until it rains, right? And it's, why can't we get a rock band? Why can't we get a rock band? Why can't we get a rock band? You know, we've done this a million times. We've thrown out the names. I think Nickelback is a good choice. Their streaming is absolutely through the roof right now because their documentary that it had already been out, but it found its way on Netflix now where it was, you know, more readily available for more people, and people have been watching it, and sure enough, coming out of the Nickelback woodwork. If you tell me Chad and the boys get out there for the Super Bowl halftime show, I think it makes all the sense in the world. They fit it. I think Ghost has got a cool visual appeal. I'm not sure they're quite big enough. Inside the genre, far big enough. As far as like breaking wide for middle America, I'm not so sure they're there yet. And I think that's why Nickelback would be a great choice. Shinedown's kind of scratching on the door. You could make the argument 6-5 and pick them between, you know, Nickelback and Shinedown. They're essentially the same band, right? At the end of the day, I just think Nickelback is that much more, they're at that level, you know, where it's almost like they were so big it had to die down a little, but yet they're still big enough. They're one of those type things. I think they could fit it. There are many others. We'll take your suggestions. We'll take a look at that. We'll spend that at 9 a.m., although the rumor is, and again, I don't think you're going to love it, on who the Super Bowl halftime show will be. We'll get there coming up at 9 a.m. Also at 8, I'm being told that now apparently what this country is going to do is start to sell ammunition out of vending machines. Now, I am a pro-gun person in the sense that I own more than one, right? I worry about some other things and certain laws and where this goes and where that doesn't go, and I don't know, we're allowed to own that, right? Like I got some things, but I'm all for people owning a firearm. That being said, the idea of hearing about ammunition vending machines, I don't know if I'm all the way comfortable on that. Maybe when we work our way through the subject matter, we'll find the thing that goes, all right, well, if you're going to do it that way, that's not that big of a deal. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. Maybe that's what will unfold this morning. That at 8 a.m., we'll take a look at ammunition vending machines. Also, Bernie Kosar, Brown's legend. He announced yesterday dealing with more than one pretty serious health condition. From what we understand, is going to need a liver transplant. Also dealing with the early signs of Parkinson's. Apparently, an independent, I believe it was, an independent NFL doctor told Bernie about that back in February. You know, he's been in the headlines a lot recently. There's been, you know, the lawsuit over, you know, him being asked to make that first bet when sports gambling became legal in Ohio. He's got that whole thing going on with that company. And, you know, there's been a lot of things, a lot of accusations made about Bernie and his behavior and what leads to some of the speech issues and some of that kind of thing for a while. And now I think we're starting to see at least another side of that. The update on Bernie, not so great for him. We'll keep Bernie in our thoughts, but we'll get you through the rest of that information. We'll take a look at Bernie's situation. Do that coming up at 7 a.m. Also in the 7 o'clock hour, a woman was at a concert. She did something at this concert that women have been doing at concerts as long as I can remember. Well before I was born and long before you were born too. A woman flashed an artist. Right? Now, it's crazy because a woman took her breasts out at a hockey game. She became the most popular thing in the country for about 3 days. This woman has flashed a musician, and she's public enemy number one. I always say I like judgment, and judgment needs to come back to society. There's a possibility I might be wrong. And this story might expose that just a little bit. I understand the point people are trying to make, but I feel like this is more, and I hate this term now, I feel like this is more virtue signal than it is I actually feel this way. I feel like it's more than virtue signal, it's I want to take part. I don't want to just be an observer and see things go by. I want to take part in things, and I think that's okay. But people are crushing this woman for taking her top off at a concert of all places, and that might be a little ridiculous. So we'll get there coming up in the 7 o'clock hour this morning on the Stansbury Show. Let's rock the bank together at 9 a.m. Get you that $1,000 key there.
Take out from the cord.
You know what you could spend some of that on? Signing up for the Stansbury Cup.
Huh?
Pretty sure.
Golf outing on the 24th. Braintree, your sign-up sheet active at WRQK.com. All right. With the invention of the internet and everybody posting videos about everything over and over and over, one of the big questions that we have asked plenty of times is, are things new, or are we just seeing it more often because we're seeing what everybody does? Right? Like, the videos you see now essentially are a variation of America's Funniest Home Video. It's just everybody's submitting them every minute of every day, right? Or there's another security cam footage that goes viral because of some silly
road work all over the place.
And so people have asked the question, is the internet making people dumber, or are we just now being exposed to how some of these problems are? I asked the question because I can't believe this happened, but I guess I should be all that shocked. As a couple in Georgia now, they were arrested.
Because mostly
They were out
this
to
part
eat at a
that are
Mexican
passing by
restaurant.
them
That
there.
part's fine.
They're already
But apparently the guy
coming in
wanted to
this
funnel
side and
tequila
there,
out of
and
his
that
wife's
side.
butt.
That's why this part is
In Waycross, Georgia, this happened.
always
This is, let me see here. The man was trying to funnel a drink down his wife's ass. He's been ID'd as Joe Boyette. He, along with Mary Sweat, I believe is her name, good Lord, were arrested for misdemeanor public indecency after the video of them has now gone viral. Now, here's the problem. They got themselves arrested. The video did go viral, yes. But the problem is the woman in the video went to the cops to complain about that. She, of course, embarrassed and was worried about what was going to happen. She went to the cops like, what can we do? People are passing this video around. What do we do? And they decided to arrest the couple, which is probably what should happen if you're trying to funnel tequila out of your wife's ass at a Mexican restaurant. Clean it up. Let's keep that at home, right? Now, she went to the cops to complain about the spreading of the video. Now, that shocked me, because when I saw the headline, what did I think, of course? God, people will do anything for the views today. People will do anything to be the Hawk Tuah girl. They'll do anything to go a little viral. Just give me my 15 minutes of fame. It was Andy Warhol who said that, right? Everybody will go, or everybody will have their 15 minutes worth of fame. The internet has kind of done that. Fame is crazy right now, spread over, 200 miles. Some of the most famous people on the planet, like some of you wouldn't know. Like maybe a guy like Sneeko, pretty famous, making a lot of money out there, pretty big celebrity. A lot of you have no idea what I just said, right? How about Sketch? Do all of you know him? He's going through a little bit of drama right now and shouldn't be, because he ended up having sex with dudes. It's like, why are we acting like gay's this new thing? But let's not get sidetracked. Back to these idiots at the Mexican restaurant trying to funnel tequila down his wife's ass. So again, I wonder, has this stuff been going on forever? Or is the internet just showing it to me? Or are we just getting worse as we go on? Now, I'm struggling here, and you can hear the stumble a little, because I don't want to be that judgmental. You know why? Because public sex is fun. Like, it is. We need to admit this about sex. That some risk makes it kind of hot. I mean, that's why people sleep with each other in the offices, right? That's why office romances work. Kind of hot, sneaking around. We just talked about a new version of relationships not that long ago. The sneaky link, which is two people hooking up and nobody else knows. The problem is, if we're going to lose our minds, and we do, and God knows I have at certain times over, I don't know, trans people walking naked through a parade in the center of downtown because it's indecent, and there's children in the place, and what are we doing? And you shouldn't be able to wash your testicles in the fountain in downtown. I can't believe we have to say it, but you do. I didn't just pull that out of thin air, by the way. Those are literally videos that are online that happened. Where people are literally washing their genitals in the fountain in town squares. Those are going on. I didn't just yank that out of the sky, by the way. But if that's a problem, and I would say that it is, then you can't let people try to funnel tequila out of their butt cheeks at a Mexican restaurant either, man. Like, you can't have it. That's the thing.
Yeah, but probably have an antique also.
But again, have I had public sex? Yes, I have.
Yeah, we bought
have I done it in this town since I have worked here? Yes. Yes, I have.
Yeah, the share.
Now, would I do that in a booth in a Mexican restaurant here? No. No. I took what I thought was appropriate risk. I could have easily got caught if certain scenarios arise, and it's like, well, you didn't think about that one, you didn't think about that. But when you know openly there are people sitting across from you and this is what you're doing, I'm sorry, man. Like, no. Like, it's just like, no. I don't, I wanted to pass it off as like, oh, dude, look at what OnlyFans and look at what, TikTok's doing to us. But like, at the end of the day, like, these people, it doesn't even seem like it was their video. It seems like what happened is somebody else was in the restaurant and like, dude, look at these two heifers going at it, right? And was like, all right, it's camera time, ho. And like, just pointed it at them, and there they go. Meanwhile, Rodeo Mexican restaurant, probably Rodeo right there, says, dear valued customers, we recently became aware of an inappropriate incident that took place in our restaurant. We want to make it clear that such behavior is completely unacceptable and does not reflect our values or mission to provide a family-friendly dining experience. I can't believe the world we live in. Okay, well, all right, this is an interesting examination, I think. 20 years ago, we would have read that statement right there and eye rolled and be like, dude, obviously the restaurant doesn't want you in there funneling tequila out of butt cheeks. Like, obviously that's not what they want. Today, you'd be like, is it what they want, though? I mean, maybe. I feel like there's businesses where maybe that is what they would want. They're saying here, their statement continues, we are taking this matter very seriously and are conducting a thorough investigation in collaboration with the authorities. Any employee found to have been involved in this will face appropriate action, meaning getting fired. Quote, we are committed to maintaining the highest standards and ensuring a safe and enjoyable environment for all our guests. Thank you for your understanding and continued support. That is Rodeo Mexican restaurant management there. Okay. Let me tell you what I want to know from the restaurant that was nowhere in that piece of information. We know you weren't trying to encourage them. We know you don't want people doing this in your booth. But as a potential future customer, you're going to burn that booth, right? Guardians win another last night, beating the Tigers 9-8. Took extra baseball to get that one done, from what we understand. They'll play again this evening. Guards now at 57-33 on the year. I bet them to win their division a year too early. I bet it last year like an idiot, and it looks like, it'll be this season where that goes down. Police had been called around 20 to 5 a.m., that being on Sunday. They found the 23-year-old man on his back in the road. They saw blood at several places within the apartment, as well as on some clothing. Blanket. That seems crazy. Officers gave first aid before, is what they're saying here, who had been in the apartment, was released to a grandmother. The suspect is now being held in Stark County Jail on $75,000 bond. Her case is scheduled for a conference that's tomorrow, I believe, in Canton Municipal Court. The police report indicates that the suspect lives in the apartment where the incident happened and that the victim was her live-in boyfriend. And I was suspicious that's what we were going to find out when I saw this story all over socials about, I think it was Monday when I saw it. And, when stuff like this happens, it's awful, right? And I'll get very defensive of Canton. Maybe even more so than people who are born and raised here, right? Because it's kind of one of those things where when you're from here, you're allowed to, like, trash a place, right? I really do feel as if this town has given my life a second chance, and I have experienced pretty good life here, man. And having lived some other places, is there a crime issue in Canton? Well, yes, but that's not a Canton issue. That is I believe, a society issue, right? Are there certain cities maybe better than others? Yeah, okay, fine, or whatever. Fair, yes. The point I'm driving to is this, is that when information comes out like this, This guy's laying in the street, bloody. They thought he had been stabbed, and that was the report first before this one came out, right? That had been what people had been speculating. What do people rush to do? Oh my God, Canton, look how bad, look how bad, look how bad, look how bad. And there's crime here, for sure. But when you think about the fact that this is, again, this is a lover's quarrel, it's domestic violence where, you know what, let me be careful here because I don't have the stats right in front of me. But where a lot of violent crime goes down with domestic violence, you know what I mean? It's like, that's my whole thing, is that yes, there is danger around the corner. But when half the story comes out, everybody's like, you know, lighting their hair on fire. Oh my God, worst place you've ever been. Oh my God, so terrifying to live here. Oh my God, so terrifying. And then you find out, it's like, well, no, what happened is that there was a lover's quarrel here. That's not the way you resolve them. You don't stab the person, but that's what happened, right? It wasn't necessarily a random act of violence because of how dangerous the city is to live in. That's the point I'm trying to make, right? Is that people we do it all the time.
See, even
I do it, you do it, Cleveland kind of sucks, the Browns suck, a mistake on the lake, right? It's like, we get very down on our areas.
Oh, they were
you
wild.
know, especially when a story like that kind of hits the local publication. Oh my God, and you start to be worried about you, right? Because a lot of times you hear these crazy stories or this wild thing that happens, it's Arkansas or Alabama or Texas, and it's, geez, weirdos and wackos everywhere, right? Then you hear about it on 34th Street Northeast, and you're like, wait a minute, I was on that street the other day. Wait a minute, my cousin lives on that street, right? And all of a sudden it starts to hit home. I am always, this will land, I'm sure, not so positively for some people, but I'm always relieved a little that when I see a violent crime happen, that it's like, okay, rather is a word I want to stay away from. But if something's going to go down, the fact that it's not just I have to have my head on a swivel, look around, oh my God, I have to be terrified of everybody because of how dangerous everywhere is, that makes me sleep a little easier, breathe a little easier. Now, having said that, let's swim a little further back to the shallow end of the pool about some Canton crime here. I think I ruined something for all of you. I did. Something was going well and I had to open my big old mouth about it, and I think I ruined it. I think I jinxed all of us. The other day, I came in here and I said, hey, I was critical of something Canton was going to do, but it appears to be working. And that is the "you're not allowed to panhandle here" signs. It's like, it's a sign. There's no speeding signs, there's no running signs, there's no this, there's no that, and people do whatever the hell they want. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to buy this. And then they put them up. And I came here and I said, look, this is anecdotal at best. This is not everybody's experience. I said, but here's what I've noticed about my exit where I live. I have yet to see somebody panhandling there since that sign went. And I came in here, we had that conversation. A couple of policemen had texted in at 330-450-7625. A couple other people were like, yo, man, I noticed that with my exits too. And we were hearing some positivity there. Now, again, it's just my exit, anecdotal at best, doesn't necessarily set the standard of what everybody is seeing out there. They've been back underneath my side of my exit the last couple of days. Now, having said that, they saw one of them, a person, saw the police coming down the road, like far from down the road, and they grabbed that cardboard sign, and bro, there was cartoon smoke coming from their feet. I mean, they were hoofing it down the street after that. And so I was like, well, they've done something. Now, just moved them off to another corner? Yeah, probably that day, that's probably what happened. But by and large, I haven't seen it as much, but over the last couple of days, I have seen it, and I was like, all right, I went in there, and I was like, look, I think it might be working, and it probably is working overall. I think I just jinxed it for all of us. If your credit card bill is due next week like mine is, we can pay that for you. Rock the bank with me at 9 a.m. That first $1,000 keyword gets passed out. What got passed out yesterday was some unpleasant news about former Browns quarterback Bernie Kosar. Pretty much one of the most famous people for me while I was growing up, right? The whole thing, championship games, and just fell short of the Super Bowl a couple of times. Kosar now 60. was placed on a liver transplant list back in late spring, but he just let Cleveland Magazine know that not that long ago. He was diagnosed with cirrhosis of the liver about 16 months ago, but said he had a serious health scare at a Thursday night football game between the Browns and the Jets that he was at last season. Quote from Bernie here, quote, "My body gave out on me. I really felt like I wasn't going to make it home from the Jets game. I sucked it up, though, and continued to avoid the doctors until the new year. Then I went into the hospital and got a massive blood transfusion. It was like, how are you alive? How are you moving?" And that's the end of that quote there from Bernie Kosar. He also says and lets us know that he was diagnosed with Parkinson's, that in February. He is telling us that was conducted by an independent NFL doctor. Kosar's doctors told Cleveland Magazine he will need a liver transplant eventually. Let me see here. Dr. Anthony Post says, quote, "Liver disease does tend to fluctuate." So he's on that wave thing where it goes up and down. He's in a good phase right now, but anything bad could happen. That, again, according to Dr. Anthony Post. Kosar kind of reiterated, saying, yeah, I feel like I'm in a much better place health-wise after undergoing treatment and a change in my lifestyle. Quote, "I wish you... I look like death. I felt like death.
What?
E. coli blood poisoning." He went on to say, "It's amazing that you can feel as good as I do despite all making a difference. I strongly believe it will continue. Time will tell." As a person, I'm talking about me now, who positivity is not their default position, and it's not like negativity is my default position, like, I don't know about that. That would be one of the hardest parts about that for me. Not to make Bernie's diseases and, medical problems all about me, but that would be one of the harder things for me. Now, maybe what happens is you think that, but then once you get there and you're faced with it, you realize, no, man, like, you have to dig deep. There's no more like, life kind of sucks, right? It's like, now you kind of have to dig deep and find that. That would be hard for me. That would be hard for me. Dude, Kosar's one of those guys. It's like, there are things that happen in life that make you kind of face your own mortality. Like, people will say that you'll see these memes all the time. Can you believe it's been 35 years since this movie came out? Oh my God, I blinked in 35 years. I remember my dad saying on the couch, the first time he heard a Led Zeppelin song in a Cadillac commercial, he freaked out and was like, oh my God, the world. I remember he looked right at me and goes, "The world's over. Cool is over." I was like, okay, whatever. This whole thing. And then he started to talk about the celebrities of his day dying. Like a lot of the guys he grew up listening to, a lot of that kind of stuff, they all started dying. I remember him telling a story about like how old that made him feel. And I was like, whatever, I'm a kid, and you don't know, you don't have any frame of reference, you don't have any idea what life is going to do to you or how you're going to feel all these years later. And Kosar's kind of one of those guys for me, man, where when you see, it's like he's not the same thing as Princess Diana. But when I remember where I was when I heard that happen, I was like, wait, that can happen to her? Like, and it's kind of one of those situations where drive and all this, yeah, we could do it, right? There's plenty of heartbreak in the Bernie Kosar story. Plenty. And even I have been guilty of saying, and I have said this more than once, and I think I'm right about it still, no matter what's going on, that for most of the franchises, I don't think people revere him the way he is with Cleveland, right? Like, I think most other franchises would be like, dude, you didn't win, right? Like, I think that's how a lot of people would do it. I think it's unfair. I think that's unfair that what happens to athletes, that if you don't win the championship, you're a bum, because I don't, who like puts it all out there for you and like, tries to get it done, tries to win. And yeah, there were mistakes made. Everybody makes mistakes. You know what I mean? That happens. I don't think anything you could really put all at his feet, be like, well, if it weren't for this bum, we would have been. I don't think you can do that with those situations. That was sad to hear about yesterday, man. Again, like, you don't want to see it happen to anybody. You don't want to see it happen to anybody. It's like, dude, kind of like that, right? You don't want to see that happen. And again, it's one of those things where it makes you start to feel about you. Like, I remember Days of Thunder. Now, again, I know it's a movie. Robert Duvall tells the doc, "Doctor, good luck trying to get a race car driver. Every last time they get behind the wheel of that car, they ain't going to that. And like there's that kind of thing. It's not the same thing, but it's in the ballpark of that. Where when you see something like this happen to Bernie, it's like I have to stop and think to myself, it's like, dude, I might have to start thinking about my liver at this point now. Looking to play some golf with you on the 24th. Your sign-up sheet for the Stansbury Cup online now at WRUK.com. Looking forward to going back there this year, man. We had so much fun there last year. Great host. Braintree is for us. Looking forward to that. All right. So, it was a couple of weeks ago, a woman went a little viral for taking off her clothes at a hockey game. Oiler girl is what they were calling her. From what I understand, from what we remember here, this is Kate here.
Oilers girl. Actually, my name's Kate, but here we are. So I've thought long and hard about what I wanted to say to everybody. But I just wanted to say, you could be the most perfect, godly f***ing person in the world. You could save kittens from a river if they were drowning.
But you took your shirt off, but okay, fair enough.
Someone's still gonna hate you. So you know what? At the end of the day, you went viral. F*** you if you don't like it. Woo! Go Oilers!
The concerts all summer, and I would have like the hot young woman with me, and like I've been talking about a waste of that. But women have been doing this forever. A woman has done this, that he and his wife are pregnant with a baby. I think that was just not all that long ago. So now, of course, people are sticking up for the wife. This is so disrespectful to his wife, one says. The other one says, disrespected herself, Parker, his wife, and all the people around her. Parker isn't disrespected. Neither is anybody else on that stage. They're not disrespected. They may not be sexually aroused by it. They may not think it. But let me just tell you, when you do something like that, you pour your heart, soul into putting on something for other people, and you get a reaction where you can tell we have connected here, you are going to be thankful for it. You may wish it wasn't panties, you may wish, but you are God. Are you disrespecting my wife right now? No, come on. What are we doing here? I hate this phrase, but this is a little virtue signaling, right? Like it kind of feels that way. Somebody else says, oh, disrespectful for her to do that knowing he has a wife. Ladies, Parker McCollum isn't the only man up on that stage performing right now. Little disrespectful of you. Wait for you to be dismissive of all the hard work and effort by those guys off the side of the stage that you don't care about because all you care about is Parker McCollum. Oh, awful, intolerant. Right? How do we know this woman isn't the mistress of one of those dudes? They happen. I've told you before, I used to hang out with Blake Shelton's Ohio mistress. That's a thing. Like, these guys have women in every town. Like, let's not pretend like that couldn't be it, maybe. Somebody else says, I just got secondhand embarrassment for her. Doing this knowing he's married with a baby on the way, the disrespect. Like I said, at my age, I'd be like, what are we doing? This is an affront to his marriage. First, here's what I think people gotta understand. Expecting strangers to respect your marriage is lunacy. It's not going to happen. Very House of Blues. I couldn't see a thing. They put on those house lights. I walked out there. I was like, I'm literally in the middle of hosting an opinion program. Sometimes I have to remind people of what that is, because this is not journalism. I get this. Sometimes I get this. Hi, Charles. I would like fair reporting, please. I'm not a reporter. Overboard and get crazy. That's not what you're doing. You're looking at the end of the day. And isn't it really about the fact that you weren't lucky enough to be at the Parker McCollum show? 330. The microphone talkback button. That on iHeartRadio, an easy way to reach out as well. We had been talking about Parker McCollum, country artist. He was performing live. A woman took her shirt off to flash the stage, and people have lost their minds. Women in the comment section talking about how it's disrespectful to his wife. Now, look, do I think Parker McCollum's wife looks at that crowd and goes, oh, thank God they're taking off their tops for him? No. No. I would think what would happen there is, I wish they could express their fandom in a